Have you ever wondered how to make and install a barn door? Well, in this video, I DIY a pair of double sliding barn doors for my home at home without a proper workshop and with just a few tools. We have these double doors which don't really suit our home decor, and they don't function particularly well because these two doors bang into each other if they're both open. I've always wanted a sliding barn door in my home, and so this is a perfect solution. We've just had an extension built through here, so this is perfect timing for me to make some sliding barn doors. I wanted the doors to be much larger than standard doors, so I had to make these bespoke, and I bought the 12-foot sliding barn door rail kit. In my local hardware store, I found this really nice tongue and groove maritime pine. I debated using plyboard, but I wanted that full effect of the wood. Most of the barn doors that I'd seen lay the panels vertically, whereas I wanted my panels to be horizontal. I designed and planned how I wanted the barn doors to be, and then I began. My garden and my home became my workshop. I do have a circular saw, but if you don't, you can use a manual saw. I worked out the height and the width for each door and bought the correct amount of tongue and groove for this. I cut the tongue and groove off the edge and then measured the correct width. Once I'd cut the first piece, I used this as a guide to cut the rest. Using this maritime timber was actually not that much more expensive than using plywood, so it is actually still quite a budget-friendly version. As I said, my panels are going to run horizontally, but if this is your first time making this, I would perhaps go with a vertical design. As you can see, there's some gorgeous patterns within the wood, and this is going to really make our barn door really into a beautiful piece for our home. It's a beautiful and sunny day today, so I'm managing to get all of these cut outside in my garden. Please do follow all safety procedures, wear some gloves and some goggles, and make sure you stay safe during your projects. For my design, I need 15 panels on each door, so 30 altogether. It started to rain now, so I've brought them inside and laid them all out. As these are tongue and groove, I can glue them together and place them together nice and neatly. I'll now one by one move them over to these batons which elevate the pieces from the floor, adding the wood glue and neatly slotting them together. I will attach the first half of the door together like this, and then use some clamps to hold it in place while the glue sets. If you put your panels together vertically, do the whole door in one bit, and then add the clamps. This really is such a satisfying project to complete, and even though a large-scale project, it's fairly simple and easy, if you just take your time and be patient with it. I'm using this other plank of wood as a straight edge to make sure I get all the planks nice and even. If you have a large T-square, then use this. This is the first larger scale project that I've done for quite a while, but I did do furniture and product design at university, so I am well practiced with my tools. This is the tongue and groove that I cut off each piece at the very beginning, and I'm using these to help me clamp this in place, so that we don't clamp directly onto the wood and damage the wood. I'll put a link in the description below for the similar products that I use. If you don't have these or don't want to purchase them for a one-off project, then see what your friends and neighbours could lend you. It's really important to get these super straight, and I'm using my sideboard here to help with that. The timber is looking gorgeous, and I can't wait to see how these turn out. I've glued together the other half of the panels for this door. I'll clamp this also. It is such an advantage making your own barn doors because you can make them the exact size that you wish. I wanted mine to be really large and really make a lovely feature in my living room. Basically, I've just created a large panel of timber, and this is going to be the door. And I make another one exactly the same. We now need to give the door panel a lot more strength, and I have some batons that I will place across this. You can choose quite a traditional pattern, or I'm doing a more contemporary geometric pattern. I've calculated the angles that I need and cutting these again on my circular saw. Depending on your design, you can use some thin planks like this or some much chunkier, thicker ones. I then took these back inside, laid it out to see how it looks. Now that these doors are coming together nicely, we can hang the rail. We installed a piece of timber to the wall for this to attach to, and then followed the installation guide as to how to put this up. These are super heavy, so I just had a bit of help to do this bit. The final doors are actually incredibly heavy, and the rail is quite heavy too, so do make sure that you secure this so that it is really safe and secure. The door panels are glued together, and at this stage I wanted to stain them. The wood grain is really lovely, so I wanted to keep some of this coming through, and I've chosen to go with a grey wash for mine. I'll put a link in the description below of what I used, but first of all I just did a little test piece to see how this was going to be. I tested it on this darker patch of wood as well. The bottle tells you to brush it on liberally, but I've taken a soft cloth and I'm rubbing this in to get a nice soft light effect. So experiment on an offcut till you get the effect you require. Make sure you shake the bottle up well and start to apply. The grain of the timber looks really lovely through this, and to be honest I just wanted to take that yellow tinge away, and I wanted it to have that more contemporary feel and give it a slight grey weathered wash. This is another really satisfying part of the project, and you can really start to see the doors coming together. I'm using just the edge of the rag to get into the groove in the tongue and groove. If you're putting this on a little bit thicker, then a brush would do this well as well. Putting it on thinly like this hardly uses any of the bottle, and it can do many projects. You can get so many different stains and finishes, so you choose whatever you prefer when you do a project like this. I just think this will suit our home decor, and I'm adding a geometric pattern to this in another grey tone, and I think it will work really well. The doors are 15 panels high, and that is slightly too long, so I measure and use a straight edge to mark where I'm going to cut the top of the door, leaving the bottom one as the open tongue and groove, as this is where it will slide along on the base. I want my geometric pattern to stand out a little bit, so I have some grey wood paint here, and I'm painting the batons that are going to secure the whole door in place. I'm painting them with this grey, and then I will attach these on. So again, we use some wood glue to attach the two pieces together. I will drill some pilot holes, one into each plank, evenly spacing there, and then get some screws and screw these into place. I would have liked to have nailed them in, but I just feel the screws give a little bit more grip. As I say, you can do absolutely any design with these, as long as you're spanning each of the planks and giving it plenty of strength in this way. You can measure your design out and mark out with a pencil, or as I do, I like to take something as a guide and work this way. One end is cut at the angle, and I can cut the other end off later. Use the installation guide to help you position and fit the rollers. I do have a wooden block under this. I'm not going to damage my new floor. I have a drill bit the same size as the bolt, and I'm drilling my first hole. I've added the roller and the bolt and cut myself another section of this wood so that I can make another hole and secure this on in place like this. If you go for a more traditional design, you can have a plank that runs right across the top, and you just attach the rollers to this. I discovered I made mine slightly too high, so I'm just cutting off just a slim bit off the top, but even this bit makes a difference. Once you've worked out where they go, the bolts and the rollers attach really easy like this. Just make sure you use some spanners and tighten them up as tight as you can get them. Attach all of the rollers in the same way, making sure you use the installation guide to make sure you have the right distance between the roller and your door. The moment of truth, we're going to see if they fit. Thankfully, I've measured all correctly and they do fit really well, so you hook them on and then they slide. Then there's more hardware in the box to make a stop and all the other things you need. I am absolutely thrilled with how these have turned out. This is how they were, and magically it's transformed the space, and I absolutely love this. I've added a handle each side and it works superbly well. So I hope this gives you a little bit of inspiration that maybe you can have a go at doing this kind of project yourself. Please take a look at our extension transformation video and also lots of the other exciting projects I have here on my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below.